All right, everyone, long time no see. We're back on the shooting range. I never completed it. Life got busy. I was chasing deer, never got it done, but I spent all last summer chasing deer and hunting them in the fall. So we're back to the shooting range. It's almost spring. We're gonna get it tidied up, but before we do that, we gotta make our way down this creek with the tractor. It's not really a creek, it's just a field drainage, but it's wet right now because of all the rain. Get over to there, clean up all the steel that's on this back hill that's been dumped over the years, and then there's some 6x6 timbers we're going to save to make our covered shooting platform right here for the range. First things first, we got to get down in the creek. I got some concrete slabs from work that we're going to use as a little bridge to get down into the creek so we're not burying the tractor. Then once we do that, we'll get that all cleaned up, a little bit of dirt work down in there, and then once that's all cleaned up and I don't need back there anymore, we're gonna put a little bridge out of some steel decking we have up top right across here so you can walk down and walk across while people are shooting and it's safe. As you can tell down here, it's just soup. So we have some 3-foot wide concrete that's cut like, I don't know, roughly 6 foot long. We're gonna put a couple of them here, kind of bridge this transition so we can get the tractor down in there without getting it muddy, buried, stuck. All right, so here's some of the concrete. I have some here in the truck that I have to unload first, but then I'll pick a couple of longer ones, get them down the creek hopefully. So let's get to it. Not exactly great for your truck bed, but all right, now we'll get these in the woods and in place. Whoops. Sorry. All right, that ought to make it much easier to get in and out of here. I'll throw a few of these old deck bolts out to spread the load out. Got 2 or 3 more. Actually, what I'll do, have some 2x8s here. We got a nice run up. Let's just try it, see what happens. All right, so it's not pretty, but it works. It got us into the drainage ditch, creek, whatever you want to call it. It's not really a creek, it's just a valley that all the runoff from the fields gathers in. So when it rains, it's soaked down here, but when there's no rain, it's dry as could be. But now, we have our next blockage. Fire up the chainsaw real quick and get rid of this brush, push that log out of the way, and get to where we're going, which is all the way up there. So fire the chainsaw up. All right, that'll get us through this area. We'll go up, push that log out of the way, and we'll finally be to where we can start actually doing what we want to do. All right, so we made it to the end. So now the work begins. So we had to clear a path through this creek drainage to get to, this is the big hill behind my house. The brush pile, I don't care about it. It adds cover for birds, rabbits, squirrels, that kind of stuff. So that stuff doesn't bother me. But there's old concrete everywhere. There's chunk there, chunk there, chunk there, logs, big logs that I got to figure out how to get out of here. There's steel scattered throughout all of this from over the years. And there's those really big pallets I was talking about right there. There's 3 of them up in there. So first thing, we're gonna get all the steel out of here into a pile to where I can get my truck to it so we can take it to the scrap yard, make a little bit of fuel money, which will be nice, but also just get it cleaned up and out of here. Then after that, we will get the pallets down, which will be very tricky. This one will be easy, but the 2 up there are going to be very interesting because they're covered in brush. So we'll see how that goes. That's what I'm going to make the covered shooting porch out of because it's free. It should last a while. It's been sitting here for 8 years and it's barely rotted, so it should last a while. So that's what we're going to use for that, but we got to get them down. I would absolutely love to get that big rock out of there for the driveway, but that tree, big white oak, is literally living on top of it, so probably not gonna happen. These culverts are any good, I'll save them, but there's random steel, paint cans, crap everywhere from old burn pits. Then up there, all sorts of steel I want to get out. There's actually a grate there that I'm going to use for a bridge to the shooting lane. Concrete there that I can use. Then after everything's cleaned up and everything's done on this hill and I like it and it's tidy, we're going to pull all these concrete blocks down, that concrete slab there, and we're going to put it all right there to reinforce the bank here, because that is the road that gets me down into the woods. So I want to reinforce that so when all this field runoff comes down here and turns this corner, it doesn't wash out any more than it already has, or at least try to slow it down. So that's the plan. Once all this is clean, we'll clean up some of these down trees. If the firewood's good, we'll throw it in the firewood pile. If not, we'll throw it in the pile and burn it. Pick up trash, random stuff. Then we will go back and start on a bridge to get us across the creek as a walking path from the road to the shooting range. So that's a lot for this weekend, but we're gonna try it. It's decent weather, so let's get to work. All right, so that's most of the small stuff. There's quite a bit of small stuff like halfway up that hill to the top, but I'm gonna try to throw it up the top because that'll be a lot easier. I'll have to bring a trash bag down here and get a bunch of this trash in a bag so it's easier to deal with. These culverts, more than likely are trash, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll start throwing this stuff in the truck and continue cleaning. So I loaded the first load, forgot my tripod, so I came back down to grab it. So while I'm down here, I'm gonna load as much of this trash as I can in the bucket and just carry it up, and then I'll throw it in the garbage bag up there. But once we grab this trash, as much as we can down here, hopefully all of it, we'll run up top and we'll start throwing all that steel up over the top and load as much in the truck as we can. There's 2 steel grates up there that I'd really like to pull up the hill. I have a couple cables and a rim I can use as a lever, if you will, but I don't know if my little tractor will do it. Probably should have bought the L series, but here we are. We'll make it work. I'll be able to get my grandpa over here with his tracker. Between the tracker and the tractor, might be able to get those up and over the top one at a time. So we'll try that maybe once we get all the steel clean, but I'll have to pull the steel up and over with chain so I don't wear myself out, because work smarter, not harder, when you can. That's the plan. So let's clean up this trash, then head up top and start throwing steel up and over and load as much as we can, and then we'll put the rest in a pile. These boots I have a little crack in them because they're old boots. So I use them for the wood, but there's a crack in the leather, and I just stood in the creek while I was drinking my coffee and now my foot's wet, so. See it? Who says rednecks don't care about the planet? God gave us a planet. I'm going to clean it up. I enjoy the hunting, so it'll give the animals a pretty place to roam. We care. Come on. And if anyone's interested, I have a half bag of cheese cubes from who knows when. Interesting. Every ravine behind a redneck's house looks like this, but I prefer mine doesn't. So that's all. Now we'll take this load up top. I'll go up there and we'll start pulling steel up and over the top till we get it all. So let's get to it. Well, party foul, got up to the top and realized I didn't have my GoPro. That's because it was in the creek and I ran it over. So we're gonna go dry it out and hopefully it's okay. Okay, so I'm back from lunch and I switched from the magnetic GoPro mount to a solid direct thread option so that I won't drop it in the creek again, because it survived that time, but I'm not sure it would again. We set a fan by it while we ate lunch and it turned on, so I think we're all right. So we're gonna pick up all this stuff that I've burnt and that is just sitting here and easy to get to first. We'll get all that in the truck, then we'll start making the steel. It's right over the hill, up over top, and throwing it in. And then once we're full, we'll just make a pile, because I'm sure I'll have to make at least 2 trips, maybe 3. So let's get to work. All right, now I'm gonna move this concrete, kind of push a path through the metal, and we'll start yanking the metal up off the hill. All right, so tractor, that's all the steel we gotta move, so we'll just start hooking to it and yanking it till we get all of it out of there. Old school trick here. All right, so new plan. I got all the steel I could loaded. Got a pile there. I'll have a pile down in the woods off to grab at some point too. I got 90% of it. There's a little bit of trash down there we're gonna get, but there is no way I'm gonna be able to pull those metal grates up and over. They're about half buried. So what I'm gonna have to do is hook a really long chain with a cable to the top of the bottom one, because there's 2 there. Go down to the bottom and try to pull them and flip them over, and then hopefully get one end up on the box grader and chain it and drag it out. Don't know if that'll work either, but we'll try it. Got a couple old 55-gallon drums down there off the move and that culvert. I'll actually get the drums up here probably. And then I'll hook up to this and try to flip them. See what happens. I got a cable wrapped through the top of the bottom one. There's 2 here, if you can see that. And I got this real big, long 50-foot chain, heavy-duty chain with big clamps on it. It's actually my dad's. So Dad, if you're watching this, nothing to see here. Forget that it's here, because I love this chain. I got 2 more short chains we'll hook to the end of it just to be safe. And then we'll hook to the tractor and try to yank these bad boys over and try not to land it on ourselves. Also too, while I was cleaning up trash here, I found 2 more big chunks of concrete under my feet here. I may try to get down at some point, because it'd be handy to have down in the creek for slowing down water on turns and stuff. So maybe that'll be a different project for a different day. We're at the bottom now, chains hooked up to the grates. We're gonna try to flip them. I definitely didn't lose this piece and just spend 15 minutes looking for it. Found it though. And also definitely didn't drop the GoPro in the water a second time. This is gonna turn out to be a GoPro durability test before this video is over with. Patience, 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 patience. Always pays off. So we found it. So now back to the original task. I got the culvert moved, the barrels moved. We're gonna back up to the chain, hook back up to it, and then try to flip this and see what happens. So let's get to it. I might have to do one at a time. Let me go up and rehook real quick. So there was a cable holding them both together. I hooked it and it worked. I think I broke that cable, so now we can get them separated. I'm gonna rehook onto this, try to drag it all the way out. We'll see how that works. All right, so we got the first one out of here. Now we're hooked up with the second one. I'm gonna drag it just past this real deep hole I've made, then rehook a little closer and then drag it all the way out. And then it's on to dragging pallets out, which I will probably just cut them up into the lengths I need to get them out of here because it'll be a lot easier. So let's get to it. So I'm hung up on this skid and I'm gonna be hung up on this tree. So I'm gonna try to flip that by hand. I don't know that I could do it. Easier than I thought. So now we should be able to just drag it straight out of here. All right, so that was surprisingly easier than I thought it'd be. The steel grates are gone and out. Now I'm gonna take this skid and push it over here. And then there's a skid you can kind of see buried up in there under all that brush. I'm gonna hook onto it and try to yank it down. I have a bad feeling it's gonna pull all that brush down too, which I really don't want to do, but kind of is what it is. So yeah, I'm gonna slide this pallet over real quick and then hook onto it and see what happens. That worked splendid. All the brush stayed. There is, yeah, you'll be able to see it. The ends of the 6x6 is there. There's one more in there. I just don't know that I'll be able to yank it out from down here. I'm gonna run up and look at it, assess the situation, and see. The only really way it can come down or come is down. It's so buried up top. Let me go up and look. I'll be right back.